Comic books. They've existed for the best part of a century and have entertained people across the globe. Colorful pages, masterful storytelling, and larger-than-life characters have attracted readers from every age, race, and gender. Even people who aren't fans of comic books could still name more than a handful of the most prominent characters within the medium. They definitely recognize the two biggest comic book companies, Marvel and DC. These two publishing titans have dominated the comic book industry for decades, with empires that span film, animation, comic books, video games, and merchandise. It would be understandable for people to believe that these companies, along with Image Comics, Dark Horse, and many others, have essentially cornered the market. But I believe that not only is this not the case, but that the future of comic books may fully belong to the independent publishing companies. As with any industry, the most pressing concern is with fulfilling the consumer's needs. People are drawn to comic books because there is so much to offer. Superheroes, fantasy, science fiction, and horror can bring in a wide range of readers. The issue comes with balancing audience expectations against creator intentions. The customer is always right. This adage is repeated across many industries, but it gets increasingly hard to stick to in a creative market. Marvel and DC have spent decades building up a plethora of household name characters, each one with their own compelling stories. Over the years, these characters are changed according to the whims of the respective writers in charge and the time period that they are written in. Who's to say that this is always an accurate reflection of what the fans want? It's possible that constant change affects the quality of a character that attracts readers the most. Big companies like Marvel and DC may have societal, corporate, or even political pressures placed upon the material that they produce, which in turn affects the happiness of the consumer. This sets the stage perfectly for the smaller, indie comic publishers. Like their larger counterparts, they obviously want to make money, but they retain complete creative control over their work. This creates a sense of stability amongst readers. They want to know that the material they fall in love with will stay true to itself and is handled by someone who respects it. So how can consumers go about finding these indie comics? Well, you can never go wrong with a good old-fashioned comic book convention. The most famous one being in San Diego. But for those of us who are based in the UK, like me, you can catch MCM Comic Con in London, Manchester, or Birmingham. I myself have been to a few, and I've had the joy of purchasing a few titles. However, if you aren't a fan of physical crowds, why not head over to a digital one? Online crowdsourcing has gained so much momentum over the years, fueling the production of independent novels, movies, and comic books. One of the most notable examples of this would be Kickstarter. You can pre-order a comic book, and depending on how much money you contribute, you could receive extra perks such as limited edition cover art or posters for your wall. As I mentioned before, comic books have expanded into movies and TV shows, so if you have a preference for moving images, there's plenty in the genre to keep you entertained. Two indie comic adaptations, Invincible and The Boys, which are both on Amazon Prime, have made a massive impact on pop culture in a relatively short period of time. While Invincible is animated and The Boys is live action, they have both captured the attention of audiences with their graphic action scenes and gritty layers of realism to the superhero genre. A rise in indie comics means more opportunities for creators to tell their stories. A lot of talented creators have previously been pushed to the side because their creation didn't work with a big publisher's vision. You may feel good about yourself knowing that you are contributing to the success of emerging talent within the industry. There's also less chance of the company effectively selling out the creative direction of their work. By engaging with independent organizations, you may run the risk of encountering more content that isn't up to the standard you expect. Big names like Marvel and DC are, for the most part, synonymous with high quality. It's understandable that some people won't have the patience to stick with a new publication as it struggles to find its feet. Another drawback is that smaller companies may not have the financial security to last very long, despite their quality. Consumers may view this as too much of a commitment, especially if there are multiple businesses vying for their attention. A few examples I would recommend for those who are curious. Hero 9 to 5, a unique, humorous commentary into the realistic implications of superhero life. Ripperverse, an ambitious foray into an original superhero universe. The Secret Protectors, a young man is inducted into a band of superheroes that goes up against a clandestine government agency. Black Sands Entertainment, a black-owned publication with its main story focusing on ancient Egypt. At the end of the day, I think it's important to state that I'm not being a pessimist about the current state of the comic book industry. I still get a lot of enjoyment from the content that Marvel and DC produces, but I feel like I wouldn't be doing the industry a service by claiming that everything is perfect as it is. All I really want you to take from this is that you should always keep your mind open to alternatives. Whether you consider yourself a veteran comic book fan, or you've recently developed an interest in the medium and don't know where to start, my advice is simply this. The world of comic books is a vast ocean, and by sticking to popular names and brands, you're merely dipping your toe into a pond. Take a gamble on names you've never heard of before. Go onto your social media platforms and hunt down the independent artists. Try a genre that doesn't normally appeal to you. Get lost in your local comic book store or stroll down the indie comic aisles of Comic-Con. We are seeing the beginnings of a revolution where comic book related content is far more accessible to the public and comic book creation is more achievable for budding creators. Don't get left behind. I'm not exactly breaking ground by asking you to broaden your horizons, but I think if comic books are going to survive and thrive, we need to do a better job of supporting all the underrepresented creators out there. Creators of the future will be encouraged or discouraged by seeing how we treat the creators of today.